Well, warmest greetings and thank you for tuning in this evening. It is a joy to be able to speak with all of you without even leaving my study. So welcome into my office here. We're about to have a wonderful time. The topic of the study I want to bring before you this evening is God does care. And I care as well. I want to give thanks to Tom, who's assisting me in all of this. Without him, none of this happens. I'm also very thankful that to set up for this Bible study tonight, I actually had to clean my desk. I can actually see the wood now, and everything looks like it's in order. So hopefully the rest of the study will also be in order. I want to talk about, God does care amidst the COVID-19 scares. We are just being barraged daily by quote unquote experts in every field, from the secular to the religious, filling our worried minds with more and more things to become worried about. All of these so-called experts have other experts who are offering a countering view. The entire realm of the internet is just exploding with so many individuals who have something to say, offering us tips ranging from the sane to the stable to the silly and the stupid. And people are becoming obsessed and are on overload trying to keep up with the latest expert. So many voices, so little veracity, so little clarity. I hope I don't add to the confusion, but I am very happy to tell you that I'm not going to be one of those voices, because first of all, and thankfully so, I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert at anything. Why would I want to delve into something that I don't know? Why would I want to offer more speculation regarding the COVID-19 pandemic that's touched over 180 nations? Is this from God? Is this God's judgment? Is this a conspiracy-based event predicated on the actions of some sinister characters with deep and evil connections? I don't know. And as I said before, I am not an expert. If anything, being a follower of Yeshua for 45 years and in full-time ministry for 37 of those years, I've picked up a few pointers along the way. The scriptures, God's inspiration, has produced in me a good general understanding on a variety of topics. From the Bible, I am better equipped to understand human behavior, to properly assess character or lack thereof of people's actions. I know what produces peace, and I know what produces strife. I know where and how to achieve real meaning and purpose, as opposed to the multitudes who are floundering in paths that are leading them to just dead ends. So let's begin our little foray into God's Word by looking at Romans 8:19 through 22. And here, Rabbi Shaul delves fully into the reason why life's experiences are pandemic in nature. And he writes, "For the creation eagerly awaits the revelation of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself also will be set free from the bondage to decay to the glorious freedom of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groans together and suffers birth pains until now." How can we fully understand what Rabbi Shaul is saying? The best commentary on these passages comes from someone who's not even a theologian, although, he does express from time to time a strong political and sociological opinion, and I refer to a fine Jewish man by the name of Robert Allen Zimmerman, a.k.a. Bob Dylan. And these are some of the lyrics to his song, "Everything's Broken," which to me sums up what Rabbi Shaul is saying. And some of the lyrics are these: broken hands on broken plows, broken treaties, broken vows, broken pipes, broken tools, people bending broken rules, hound dog howling, bull frog croaking, everything is broken. Take a deep breath, feel like you're choking, everything is broken. Every time you leave to go off someplace, things fall to pieces in my face. Broken threads, broken springs, broken idols, broken heads, people sleeping on broken beds, everything is broken. Broken bottles, broken plates, broken switches, broken gates, broken dishes, broken parts, streets are filled with broken hearts. Broken words never meant to be spoken, everything is broken. Broken cutters, broken saws, broken buckles, broken laws, broken bodies, broken bones, broken voices on broken phones. So as you see, everything is broken. And there you have an excellent assessment of life here on earth. Everything is broken. We've fallen and we can't get up. For we are told that the creation is subjected to futility. Creation itself longs to be set free from bondage to decay. For we know that the whole creation groans together and suffers birth pains until now. Like opening up a new package, only to find that the contents are broken. We come into the world innocent, and we enter into an imperfect arena filled with strife, heartache, falsehood, and then death. Is God to blame for all of this brokenness? In times of great pain and bewilderment, we default into asking God, why did you let this happen? What is the reason? What is the purpose? In the case of Lazarus, Yeshua knew in advance that his friend was ill and about to die. He could have circumvented this death, but he waited. He waited to further demonstrate a more complete manifestation of the kingdom of God that's not short-circuited by death. Death is not the end of things in this broken world. In short, we lack wisdom. God holds the high ground. From his vantage, everything is seen and known, and he has a purpose and a plan that eludes our understanding. Our vision and understanding is marred. It's broken. God holds the high ground. His vantage point is above the mountains. He sees beyond the dense forest and the clouds to see the things that we will never see. And we need to understand that we have limitations. We do not understand why events transpire the way they do. Isaiah expresses it like this in Isaiah 55 and 8 through 9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways. It is a declaration of Adonai. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than yours, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. Just consider, for example, the recent rampage of a deranged madman in Nova Scotia, Canada, who went from home to home, shooting the occupants and then setting the homes on fire. When a deadly massacre takes place, or if a plane should go down, or a mine shaft collapses, or even a car crash, are these God's will and judgments, or is it more something due to human brokenness? Is it due to human error? I consider the Wuhan virus as well. Can this be ascribed also to human error? From the wanton consumption of very questionable foods not spoken of in the Torah, right on through to the many gross inaccuracies, lies that are being reported by the communist Chinese authorities. And you add to this the downplaying and misinformation of the severity of this virus on the part of the World Health Organization. Again, why question God when we can see that so much of this pandemic is caused by human error? As with every mystery that's before us and everything that's perplexing, Let's filter out the things that we can know and weigh them against the things that we will never know. I know, for example, that God does care. And I know that life is a gift from God. To take a human life, for example, is a capital offense in the eyes of our Creator. God cherishes human life. We were created in His image. Therefore, when we take another life, in God's eyes, this is a capital offense. Isaiah 42:5 tells us, "Thus says God, Adonai, who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread out the earth and what comes from it, who gives breath to the people on it, and ruach to those who walk in it." Psalm 139:14, a well-known passage. "I praise you, for I am awesomely, wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows that very well." We know that God alone has the right and the power to give life and to take life according to the wisdom of His plans. For Job, we read, from Job 2:10, we read, "You speak as a foolish woman would speak. Should we accept the good from God and not accept the bad?" Through all of this, Job did not sin with his lips. We know that life is short, and with the brevity of our years, there is always a degree of suffering, ending in death or judgment, depending on the choices that people make in this life. And contrary to some strains of Jewish and Christian thought and teaching, there are no do-overs. There are no second chances. For we read in Hebrews 9:27 and 28, "And just as it is appointed for men to die once, and after this judgment, so also in Messiah was offered once to bear the sins of many, He will appear a second time apart from sin to those who eagerly awaiting Him for salvation." Another thing we know is this. We know that God loves us. His redemptive plans are put in place because of us. He desires to heal the brokenness of our people. He desires to heal the brokenness of life here on earth. He has a redemptive plan. This is what the Bible is all about. And all of this is proof conclusive that He does love us, that He integrally cares about everything that takes place within our lifespan. He wants to heal the brokenness, and He wants to bring restoration to everything that man has forfeited in the garden. He desires that a time is going to come in the future when He is going to take together His bride, a remnant of Jewish and non-Jewish people who believed in the Messiah, and He wants to safely and peacefully make their abode with Him in Jerusalem. God's love is all through the Scriptures because it is all about His redemptive purposes, His heartfelt desire that we would be close, and He desires to draw close to us. And now, folks, that $64,000 question, if you're old enough to remember that old television program. Why would God permit COVID-19 to spread so far and so wide? See, even for this, it's difficult to provide any definitive answers. But perspective is everything, because people in every age and in every generation have had to contend with many, many things far more serious than what we are now going through, far more serious than what we are experiencing. Last week we commemorated Yom HaShoah. Who in the right mind would want to be living in Europe during the Nazi era? And that's just one illustration. But there are so many more. Just consider the plight of the many multitudes of refugees far and wide who are sent into flight because of war, terror, abuse, famine, any number of reasons. Living in an anarchy with evil rulers who are cutting off much needed aid and supplies to the people that need them the most. This is why there are warlords. This is why that there are so many people all across the world who are suffering and in despair. Can't blame this on God. God gives us the freedom to make our own choices. He's not going to violate our human will to make the choices that we make. Our free will. He won't violate. But millions of people are wanting to know why God would allow this, which to me has a positive ring to it. God is on their minds. God is on their minds. And he desires for all people to earnestly seek and to find him. Jeremiah 29:13 and 14 beautifully illustrates this. You will seek me and find me when you search for me with all of your heart. Then I will be found by you. And I need to mention this is within the context of God speaking to his people Israel. That if you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart, then I will be found for you. Don't you think this world would be a much more beautiful place if people walked with the Lord? The wonderful promise of the new covenant from which our congregation takes its name. It tells us that there's going to come a time when every man, his neighbor, will ask of each other, know the Lord, and they will all know me. From the least of them to the greatest of them. We're not living in that day, but we are moving ever so closer to that day. Another thing I know is God desires that we seek him. And he desires for people to sense their own weaknesses, their own shortcomings, and recognize our own neediness so we could put our trust in the one who holds our future. Being frightened and terrified by things that we read through media reports is not going to help us. But what will help us is having a healthy perspective on the one who holds our future, for he is the same one who holds our todays and our yesterdays as well. I also know God desires to show us, he desires for us to show gratitude and to love him. We love him best through obedience to his words. We are to demonstrate our love for him through acts of loving kindness, loving one's neighbor as ourselves, coming alongside others in the moments of their trials, and the stress and all of the anxiety that is built because of this pandemic offers to people greater opportunities to be a blessing to others. We look at our news and we are just so and we're so thankful for the outpouring of appreciation rightfully being bestowed upon all of our medical professionals and all of those who are working in hospitals and clinics and in nursing homes who expose themselves to COVID-19, but yet they report for duty. Heroes abound all throughout our society. And why can't the heroes who excel the most be the individuals who are moving forward, not just with the kindness of a human spirit, but with the integrity of an inborn spirit of God, as God writes his law and he enables us to better love our neighbor as ourselves. Romans 15:1 and 2 tells us this. Now we who are strong ought to bear the weaknesses of the powerless and not just please ourselves. Let each of us please his neighbor for his good, for building him up. God desires in his care to shift our focus and affection away from the things that are temporary. He wants us to shift our focus away from this troubled and broken world, that we could tend to the needs all around us, that we could be his outstretched hands and fill and fit into needs all around. See, times of trouble are prime motivation for us to store up treasures in heaven, where rather than cling to the temporal treasures on earth. And it enables us to be better stewards of the many blessings he gives us in this life. Colossians 3:1, again, Rabbi Shaul has so much to say about these, and why not? He lived amidst so much pressure. He lived amidst much persecution, beatings, and imprisonments. But he writes, therefore, if you have been raised up with Messiah, keep seeking the things that are above, where Messiah is, sitting at the right hand of God. Focus your mind on things above, not on the things of the earth. When all is said and done, when all of the experts have weighed in, let your ultimate source of guidance, comfort, and stability come from the Lord. COVID-19, along with other things that you may remember that we endured, Y2K that amounted to nothing, 9/11, the various wars that our country is involved with, all of these things produce anxiety. Times of suffering, it wakes us to our truest need to grasp hold of something much greater, something that is beyond ourselves, something that is otherworldly, looking to God's kingdom. Our years are so brief and they're so fleeting. And the only way we find purpose and meaning in the lives that we live comes through serving the Lord with all of our heart, soul, and mind. Psalm 31, 14 through 16, it reads, for I have heard the whispering of many. There is terror on every side as they conspire against me and plot to take my life. But I have trusted in you, Adonai. I said, you are my God. My times are in your hands. Deliver me from the hands of my foes and from those who pursue me. Make your face to shine on your servant. Save me in your loving kindness. C.S. Lewis, the great Christian apologist, wrote, God whispers to us in our pleasures. He speaks in our conscience, but he shouts in our pain. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. See, during times of crisis, people are straining to hear the words of a prophet. They want an expert to come forth with a definitive word. We want a personal word. We want answers for everything. We all desire these things, but in our desire, let us be discerning of the quote-unquote prophet. Because, in my estimation, true prophetic voices are really hard to find. Times of crisis are times when prophets gain a wider audience through social media by making appealing statements. Be discerning, and most importantly, put your trust in the Lord and not a voice that you've heard over social media. They may be helpful. They may even be encouraging. The bottom line is, let us be discerning. God has given to you a down payment of his Ruach. He's given to us answers galore for every situation of life's encounter, and they are all contained in his word. On a number of occasions over the years, when praying for people, I'll get asked, do you have a prophetic word for me? See, this is pressure-packed because my pride would just love to deliver, but I'm not going to just make something up for the moment. For those who know me, I just don't roll like that. I just have a reticence and a fear of not wanting to misrepresent God. It is very rare that you will hear me say something to the effect that God spoke to me. There are impressions that he puts on my heart, but I don't convey it as if God is directly speaking to me. It goes through the filtration system of my mind and my heart, and I put these things down on paper. But experience has taught me that for the most part, individuals who want a prophetic word are individuals who are just looking for a shortcut to spiritual success. I've learned to ask individuals, where do you worship? Do you pray? Do you read the Bible? And I've never been satisfied with the answers that I have heard. So where do you worship? Oh, nowhere exactly. I'm between this place and that place. Do you pray? Well, not always. Do you read the Bible? So I've never been satisfied with the answers. But simply like this, I counsel the person to pray, to meditate on God's words, because this is the word of the Lord for you today and every day. This is where we receive our daily bread. You want to hear from the Lord? Allow God to speak to you through your own reading and meditating on his word. This is the greatest way that God speaks to us. And when we are into his word, these dynamic things just start to take place. They fall into place. You read something and you feel inspired, and you create various scenarios in your mind, and what you are experiencing is God speaking to you. And it causes you to want to probe and study and look into the very things that you are reading. As for me, one of my favorite Bible statements, or one of my favorite Bible personalities, is the prophet Amos. I so appreciate this man's humble ways. See, there are many quote-unquote prophets today, and they make no qualms about telling you that they are prophets. But listen to what Amos says to a priest by the name of Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, when he instructed Amos to no longer prophesy. This great prophet, he never sought to be a prophet. I just love his words. So Amos is Amos 7:14 and 15. So Amos responded and said to Amaziah, I am no prophet, nor am I the son of a prophet. Rather, I am a shepherd tending fig trees. But Adonai took me from following the flock, and Adonai said to me, go prophesy to my people Israel. He was very reluctant. I'm not a prophet. I'm not even the son of a prophet. I am not educated. I don't do any of these things. All I am is just a shepherd, and I pick figs for a living. This is me. But God took me from following the flock, and he said to me, go prophesy to my people. I think this is something that all of us can relate to. We don't need to bear the title of prophet, but if in our own respective fields of endeavor we are open to the voice of the Lord, and if we will meditate on his word, he is going to give us amazing directives, and he's going to teach us to be humble servants before him, and we will find our purpose in this life by serving his purposes. It's such a wonderful feeling that overtakes an individual when you are able to assist another, when you know that you have been somebody who has been a difference maker. And so I leave you with this. Yivarechecha Adonai vayishmarecha. Ya'er Adonai penevu lecha vichunecha. Yaser Adonai penevu lecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord cause his presence to to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord turn with favor unto you and give to you his peace. Ladies and gentlemen, may we turn our face to the one whose face is always shining on us. So grateful that you have been a part of this little study. I invite you to join us this coming Shabbat morning as we move further in our journey towards the day of Shavuot. Great things are on the horizon. Let us be in tune with what God is speaking to us in this day, for God is going to open up to us so many opportunities to be difference makers. May the joy and the peace of the Almighty be with you. Amen and amen.